Hi everyone, my name is Chhaya Nene here with American Bazaar and the creator of Ghee Happy, Sanjay Patel. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm very excited to be speaking with him about Ghee Happy. So Sanjay, tell us about the show. We know that it's an animated series. It's preschool. We follow four of our deities. Why this? Why did you decide to create something like this?
Right. You know, I had been working at Pixar for about 25 years, and that entire time, this is kids and family animation, and I didn't have a family, I didn't have children, and so, gosh, what was it? Maybe 7, 8 years ago, I finally became a parent. We actually have two boys, my wife and I, and I was doing a lot of pickup and drop off at my son's daycare. And, every day I would see him and his little friends, and they're just like these perfect beings, when they're this small, they're not, the world hasn't ruined them. And they're just magical, kind of divine beings, in my opinion. And so, I really wanted to make a show suddenly that was, appropriate for parents. And as a parent myself, I was finally feeling the need to have a preschool show that could introduce the traditions that I grew up with in a way that would make sense to them and their friends.
And now, stylistically, I've seen from different sketches you've done to this show, there's a kind of journey that you take when you first begin to draw them and choose the style. Is it because that this is easier for children to digest the way you've drawn them?
Right. I did have my own sort of initial approach to how I wanted to design the show. Luckily, I had the great fortune of working with an incredible art director named Joey Chu. And him and I both put our heads together with another artist named Chris O'Hara, and we figured out a kind of a weird amalgam of something that was Joey Chu cute, Sanjay Patel graphic, and Chris O'Hara, just perfectly animated. And so what we really leaned into was a big point of inspiration for me was the traditional toys from India, the Chanapata toys. And there's, because of the limitation of wood and wax and the color, it forces the woodworkers or those traditional toy makers to simplify. All detail gets very simplified. And I really love the spirit of that. And so we really did take that as a key guiding design principle to simplify these forms. And in that, kids could project more of themselves into it. The more detailed, the more specific the characters or the designs are, the more it kind of can almost make a wall. Versus the more basic they are, the more little kids actually can project themselves into them.
So you mentioned parents and you mentioned children. Now, in creating stuff like this, and you've also created a book series, is this for the ability, I guess, for our audiences across ages to connect? Is this your hope that, is there a hope, I guess, for the series in terms of connection and maybe messaging?
Right. I mean, with all my work with Ghee Happy, the kind of the pithy statement is trying to make the foreign familiar. As a first-gen Indian American kid, it was definitely kind of disorienting to not really feel like I was fitting in, and so the everything I've done in terms of Ghee Happy is first and foremost for everyone. It should look appealing and interesting to everyone, and then if you have any kind of background or appreciation for any of these traditions, it should really speak to you. And so, the hope with this specific show was, I'm a new parent. I have a lot of friends who are parents as well. And, a big goal for me was my wife is Caucasian American. And so we have a blended family. Our children are blended. And so it's one thing for them to see dad's culture in this cartoon, but it's another thing to also make it so appealing that their friends who might not have any sort of roots in the diaspora would also find it interesting and engaging. So the goal with Ghee Happy was to first speak, of course, directly to people in the diaspora and then also to their friends.
Now, is there something that you wish you were asked about this series or about your work that you're not asked, either about yourself or professionally? And what would be the answer to that?
That's a great question, actually. The thing that oftentimes when people see a series like this, they tout like, hey, this is, promoting diversity. This is like for everyone. And those are all great ideas. And I really do, I agree with all those sentiments. The thing that I really want to point out, though, is that There was so much of this series that is hyper specific as well, though, and that we really tried hard to keep the flavor of the specificity of the Indian traditions and the Indian ideas in there, not just to make it universal, but to keep it unique. And so there's an episode where Vishnu goes to sleep, for instance. And when he goes to sleep, all of reality disappears. Now, this is a really big idea, especially for a preschooler. But it was so important to me as the deity of preservation. When the deity is awake, all of reality exists. And when the deity goes to sleep, all of reality disappears. I was obsessed with trying to communicate this idea to little kids. And again, I didn't water it down. We kept it really specific. And my hope is that by laying this first little seed, maybe as they get older, they will read into the traditions and recognize that the seed was planted early on.
Now, where can people find Ghee Happy? How can they get involved? Who are the people that are involved that you're very excited to kind of note and let us know?
Sure. So the great news is that the entire series is going to be freely available on YouTube. The handle is @Ghee Happy Studio. We have about 4 or 5 episodes up right now. We have shorts coming up. All 20 episodes. That's like 2 whole movies will be up in the next couple of weeks. And as well as fun shorts and behind the scenes stuff. So all on YouTube, all for free.
That's incredible. The access that people have by making it free, I think, is something that we don't always see. And access to education, access to shows, access to information is incredible. So I think that's something to be commended and easily available. Now, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you want to add now?
Let's see.
You had good questions.
Thank you. Then I think we've covered it. That's all for our interview with Sanjay Patel. This is Chhaya Nene for American Bazaar signing off. Till next time.